Hey, this is Chip Taylor coming to you from Zalisi, Ukraine. My sobriety date is August 28th of 1987. I got sober in Statesboro, Georgia. I came over to Eastern Europe in 2006, first in Moscow and then 2009 over here in Ukraine when things got a little bit more complicated politically. What we came here to do is to teach addiction counseling. And the recovery in Ukraine was a little bit challenging. They had only had AA since 1991. That was the fall of the Soviet Union. There were probably people doing 12 steps before that, but it was not a very popular thing, and it was frowned upon under Soviet rule. And here now, when we first got here in 2009, there were 17 rehabs in the country of 44 million people at that time. 17 rehabs using the 12 steps. Right now there are none. We use 12 steps here at my rehab, but we're pretty small and pretty isolated. The AA groups as a whole were pretty sparse. Kyiv had a few groups. Dnepr, Odessa had some groups. Then Poltava, Kharkov, and then over to Lviv. Those cities, larger cities, had some AA, but it's common for there to be a city of 200,000 or 300,000 people and no AA, no 12 step. I use the term AA in this discussion interchangeably, AA, NA, and even codependence. They don't do a lot of Al-Anon, but they do have what they call CODA, and which is Codependence Anonymous. There's been a lot of online groups. This has always been the case, but especially since COVID started. And then COVID just kind of meshed into the armed conflict, which started originally in 2014. What everybody's paying attention to now is the full-scale invasion, which started in 2022. Most of the people that I know through recovery are all in combat now. The groups have dispersed. It's not wise to have any sort of AA or recovery discussion under the occupation of the Russians. Cities like Donetsk and Melitopol. Melitopol is where I was at for so many years, is under occupation. You do not want to draw attention by being in AA or any kind of 12-step recovery group. The Russians consider that, or the Russians that are now in authority, consider that to be a Western-based operation, and they don't like anything like that. So it's wise to avoid it. Online groups in the occupied territories in Ukraine are monitored, mostly because of the need of the Russian authorities to control the population. So it's kind of difficult to do anything online. Here where we are, there was no group in Donetsk, which is the next largest town. It's about 6 miles away, and it's only 15,000 people. But it's had a group that we started in 2016. They went. Please forgive the puppies playing behind me. We started that. It needed to be a little bit in violation of the traditions because of the lack of alcoholics and the number of people in need of recovery. These dogs are out of control. So they combined AA, Al-Anon, or CODA, Gamblers Anonymous, and NA all in one little group. And that, if you know anything about the traditions, it's doomed to fail, and it did. Now, it's still a group that meet online. There's a lot of adult children of alcoholics involved with that. AA and NA, there's some around, but it's usually, it's always online, and it's either in Kyiv or Lviv, which are both challenging cities to live in right now. There's never been a strong English-speaking AA in Ukraine. There's a group, or there was a group in Lviv, and there was a group in Kyiv, but a lot of the Americans have left, and that included the alcoholics or members in recovery. There was a very active group in Moscow. I would really be surprised that they are still there, because most of them were either Brits or Americans, and I don't think too many of them are still living and operating in Moscow. What I do, I talk to an alcoholic every day in the States. My group attendance is online. I have a lot of friends in recovery on St. Simon's Island. We spent a few months there when the Russians first invaded. We were advised, because of my involvement with Ukrainian military, we were advised to leave. What we're doing now in our rehab, in our recovery circle in Donetsk and then Maninski, not Donetsk, and Donetsk and Maninski, in this obelisk, which is in the southwestern part of Ukraine. What we do mostly is work with soldiers coming back from combat, their families, that kind of stuff. AA is a wonderful tool as a basis for how we approach recovery for all these different groups. Applying the 12 steps to anybody's life, spiritual principles. And who doesn't need spiritual principles in their life? And come on, guys. And so we use the 12 steps in a lot of different a lot of different avenues to provide people with recovery. But a lot of what we do is now focused on helping the military, people coming back. Most of y'all know that PTSD and substance abuse go hand in hand, which is how I got involved with working with the military here, was through helping them understand addiction and PTSD. There's a lot of predisposition for both addiction and PTSD in this part of the world. And so we've tried to enlighten as many people as we can. Most of my activity as far as recovery is concerned, helping other people, is through providing information. And we do counseling. It's not AA, it's 12-step plus. And so it's our way of fighting the war. It's our way of defending Ukraine. Ukraine is my home. I have a 10-year-old son. I have a Ukrainian wife. We've been married for 12 years. We were asked to come to this small farm. They had a rehab, what they called a rehab for alcoholics here. It was mostly just a flop house for alcoholics. There was no real recovery program. We came in 2016 and started. Hey, that's enough. And we started actually with a program. Now, since COVID, we've gone completely to outpatient. And we've gone completely to outpatient, and we are doing, like I said, mostly work with military or their families. We do a lot of lectures around Ukraine. We train chaplains, military chaplains, to go to the front and work with these soldiers at the front, work with their families. And a lot of that is just, there's not a whole lot of information about 12 steps in this part of the world. And so we do a lot of education as far as what addiction is and what recovery requires, and how to go about it. If you've got any other information that you'd like, if you've got any questions, you can find me on Facebook. Otis Taylor. You can see that I'm in a greenhouse. What we do is we grow ingredients for Mexican food, and we sell that to the Americans and our expats that are still here in Ukraine, because our patients can't pay anything. They can't support a rehab. And so what we do is we found another way to keep the lights on and provide free psychological support, both for the military and civilians. We just help treat anxiety disorders of all different kinds. We deal a lot with gamblers. We deal a lot with substance abuse, codependency. Everybody's under a lot of stress here. And so we deal a lot with multi-generational grief and trauma. I'm an emotional trauma therapist. I was trained at Willingway, and I applied that information to, in addition to a lot of other trainings that I've had. I apply all that information here in order to help as many people as we can, as many ways as possible. You can check out also Father Son Peppers. You can find us online. Abuelo Salsa, you can find us online. And then Otis Taylor. We're on Facebook. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're all over. On LinkedIn. We're everywhere. And so if you just Google us, you'll find us, Otis W. Taylor. Anyway, if there's something else I can do for you, let me know. And peace.